Make sure that the young people knew that it was possible. They just had to not give up.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. They're making career decisions based on advice from friends or posts on internet forums, meaning they are taking huge risks with their livelihood without having all the details. This podcast was created to help you understand the aviation industry so you can find your dream job. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
Hey, pilots, welcome back to another interview episode of Ready for Pushback. I'm Nick Fialka, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. I have a conversation with one of the most lovely people I think I've ever met. I'm talking to Miss Jeannette Crowder from an organization called Cajun's Aviation Dream. And I think you are going to really enjoy this, and here's why. This nonprofit that she runs, Cajun Aviation's Dream, is in memory of her brother, Stephen Del Bagno, and his call sign was Cajun. He was an Air Force Thunderbird, and he tragically lost his life. And she is keeping his flame lit by running this organization and giving scholarships to people that have a dream for aviation, that have a passion for aviation. And so if you are a person who is working their way through sorting out everything having to do with aviation, and maybe you need a little help, maybe you want to get involved, maybe you're a person that's already made it and you want to give back, this is an opportunity for you to give. Lots and lots of great information here. Cajun's Aviation Dream. I'll have all those information in the show notes. So sit back, relax. Let's get ready for Pushback. And last but not least, let's have a quick word from our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't have this awesome podcast. Hey, pilot, did you just get a new conditional job offer? Are you getting out of the military and going to move your family across the country? Are you going to move in base somewhere? Or are you going to go out to find that second home that you've been looking for? Well, I want you to stop right now, pick up the phone, and call Marty and the team at Trident Home Loans. It's an organization that's run by pilots. They understand pilot pay. They understand contracts. They understand military. They have the best VA loans in the United States. Marty and his team have been doing mortgages for years. They've been doing my mortgages for years. I trust him and his team more than any other organization. I challenge you to get a better deal anywhere else. Go ahead, reach out, get a mortgage quote, and then call Marty and his team. They will walk you through the process and show you how competitive their rates are. So go right now, tridenthomeloans.com, and check them out. Hey, pilot, I want to tell you about a great friend of the show, Timothy P. Pope. He's a financial planner, and he's completely focused on the professional pilot. He's the kind of guy you want to go to for real talk to help you figure out your financial future. With so many upgrades and so many transitions and so many things going on, you owe it to yourself to give him a call. He'll help you design and execute really smart financial planning strategies, whether it's retirement planning, investment management, military transition, tax planning. He's a great financial planning partner. Timothy P. Pope, CFP, helping professional pilots make the most out of life. Give him a shout. All the information's in the show notes. You should definitely tell him I told you to call. All right, pilot, welcome to the podcast. We are back with another really awesome interview episode. I am talking to Jeannette Crowder from Cajun's Aviation Dream, and we are going to be talking about a really fantastic nonprofit with a beautiful story, and their focus, guess what, is for aviation scholarships. You want to fly? You want a scholarship? You want to give money for a scholarship? This is what we're talking about. All right. So, Jeannette, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Man, I am so glad we get to talk. I would love for you to tell me about Cajun's Aviation Dream and who Cajun was and why this is such an awesome charity.
Yeah, so Cajun, first and foremost, was a Thunderbird pilot, Thunderbird number 4, 2018 season. And just at the start of his season, he had a training mishap and left us. So our family, along with the Thunderbird alumni, his teammates, our family and friends and people really all across the country kind of came together, decided we weren't ready to let him go, so to speak. So we created what is Cajun's Aviation Dream. We are officially a California 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is to carry on Cajun's legacy and help young Americans chase their own dreams to fly and their passion for aviation.
Yeah, and I think that is so awesome because there are so many people out there that are interested in aviation, that see it and dream about it, but it seems like this huge barrier. So can you tell me a little bit about that, about the scholarships and what you guys have been able to do? You know, when we were talking in the pre-show, you told me how things kind of kicked off in 2019. So I think recapping that is so important. It's such an interesting thing on how you guys are moving forward with your organization.
Yeah, so we initially got started, the Thunderbird alumni had hooked us up with the EAA Advanced Air Academy Camp, which is run out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Most of the people that listen to you will probably know that Oshkosh is like the biggest air show in the country. So being able to send kids to a camp that they host is kind of a big deal. It's a very sought after camp. You can't get your foot in. So they had the connection, and we sponsored our first 2 kids in 2019. And they are 16 to 18 years old. So if you're in the aviation community, you are familiar with this. What we're looking for is people that may not necessarily have that opportunity or know about this opportunity, that like to fly or that are interested in it, and put them in this position where they have now access to hundreds of avenues that aviation can do for them. They get to learn all the things. They get to go up in flights. They get to learn welding and all this stuff. And it was really great first year, and then COVID hit and kind of shut the world down.
COVID.
Right? So we went back to the drawing board. Like, how do we keep growing and get this momentum going, but still operate within the COVID guidelines? So we brought on 2 more programs offering discovery flights and an award for flight time for those that are enrolled in a flight school. And that kind of helped us carry through the COVID years. And last year was the first year we were able to sponsor back to the Air Academy camp. So we sent 2 kids last year. And so now we're offering 6 scholarships a year, and we've been able to kind of keep growing and maintaining that. And our hope eventually is that anybody that applies through our organization will get some flight award, whether it's a discovery flight or money for flight time, because we know training is not cheap.
Yeah.
And the ultimate will still also be attending this camp, because it's a once in a lifetime thing that's offered for a very short window. And to send kids there, I think it's like a career day in a week's time frame. Like, they get all the things aviation in a week condensed version, and the sky's the limit for them if they can get there.
Literally. Yeah.
And it's really cool. So we went the first year, my dad and I, so Cajun's dad, we've coined him Papa Joe. That's kind of the name that the Thunderbird team gave him. And so you'll often hear references to Papa Joe and Mama D. That's kind of, we became the Air Force family, so to speak. They've kind of wrapped us up, and they've taken care of our family over the last now almost 5 years. And when we went to Oshkosh the first year, I can't put into words what these kids get to experience. It is the coolest opportunity. And Scott Cameron runs the Air Academy camp, and his team is incredible. They put on one heck of a camp for these kids, and anybody that's been through our organization has nothing but positive things to say. There's a couple kids that went last year, and things just keep opening up for them as they get older and they pick a career path and they go. So it's really an incredible opportunity, and we feel very fortunate to be able to put kids into that.
Yeah. I tell you what, one of the biggest things I take away from that is you are the first step on somebody's network. You are the person that opens that door so that they can grow in that community. And to have somebody open that door for you, I had somebody open that door for me. And when that happens, it is so impactful. It changes your whole life. So I challenge everybody that listens, that thinks, man, it's so hard to get into any kind of aircraft, or, you know, how could I ever be a professional pilot? And it can happen.
Yeah.
It absolutely can. And all you have to do is put your first foot forward. That's it.
Yeah. And it was really important to us because Cajun was the same. He had people that kind of took him under his wing. And when he was 16, he went to an airport and decided, I want to do this. My parents were like, well, okay, figure that out because we can't help you. And they took him on. He cleaned airplanes and refueled them and cleaned the hangar floors just for flight time. And he had people opening doors and taking him under his wing. And so when the Air Force path took him to the Thunderbirds, that was most important on his agenda. It wasn't that he was going to go be this badass fighter pilot. He was already a badass fighter pilot. He wanted to impact kids across the country and get them to chase their dreams and follow their heart and to never give up. And in the short time he was on the air show circuit, he did that. He flew Daytona, the flyover at Daytona, and he flew Melbourne. And the amount of people just in those two incidences that showed up for our family, wrapped us in their support, and helped us with this mission has been why we've been so successful.
Yeah. And it takes a big heart. Everybody looks at the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels about they're the best stick, they're the best this, they're the best that, but they're also the biggest heart. And so I think that's important to realize is that the reason you go forward and do something like that is a selfless move. And that's a beautiful thing. And to lose somebody is very difficult. And I love that you're able to bring this positive push to make sure that everybody knows that your hearts remain open and that your goal is just to help the community and to help encourage others.
Yeah. And you had made some comment earlier that you're either in it because somebody in your family have been in it, or, it's kind of a generational thing, or it's passed down, or it's really hard to break into, to find somebody to take you under. And that was something that was really important to Cajun. If he saw that spark, he went out of his way to foster that and to help in whatever way he could, whether it be offering a flight or helping get a job to help pay for it, or going out of his way to make sure that the young people knew that it was possible. They just had to not give up.
Yeah, man, that's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So if I'm a young man or a young woman and I'm interested in sorting out discovery flights, like, do I need to live near you in California? Is that the focus?
No. So we have sponsored 29 young people as of today's date across the country, all over the country, in discovery flights, flight lessons. So as long as there is an airport near you or something that you're willing to drive to, then we will set it up wherever you're located. So like this year, we just finished our scholarship kids this year, and we haven't announced it yet because we usually do that on Cajun's anniversary on April 4th. It's just another positive way to honor him and not so much mourn him, but this is what we're doing in light of him and because of him, because he existed. So we've got kids in California. I've got a kid in Illinois, Louisiana, 2 kids in New Jersey, a kid in Maryland. So wherever you are in the country, and that's what's been cool about opening it up across the country. It's not just particular to one flight school or one area. We want to help the kids that may not have the opportunity because they don't have somebody in their family, or they don't know that this is a reality, that they don't know that they could be a pilot or a mechanic or whatever in aviation that they want to be. Getting them this opportunity to spark an interest is where we want to make the biggest impact.
Cool. So I don't know this, and I'm interested. Is this hey, you guys have a pot of money and you're making phone calls around the country to different flight schools? Or is this phone calls to flight schools to have a conversation about, this is our organization. Would you like to donate an aircraft? Would you like to donate an instructor or time or something like that? How do you go? Or is it a mixture of both? What does that look like?
It's kind of a mixture of both. We're so small. It's our family and a couple of really close friends that run this. It's a volunteer organization. So we wanted to keep this about the kids, for the kids. So every year we have a goal to raise $20,000 and then roll that over and spend it with the kids the following year. So we're trying to, COVID put a really big divot in that.
Yep.
But we were able to get enough support that we're now being able to turn this over. So this year, even though we only commit to 6 scholarships a year financially. This year, we were actually able to award 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you,
So
you may say only 6, but that's 6 more people that didn't have a chance.
yeah.
So the reason I asked that question is because a lot of Air Force, former Air Force and current Air Force and Guard and Navy and Marines and Army and everything listen to this podcast, as well as a lot of civilians. And a lot of people own planes, and a lot of people are CFIs, and a lot of people would be interested in participating here. And is that something they could do if they've got a plane and they've got gas and they've got a person, and they could reach out and say, send us some of your people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're open to making the biggest impact we can while we can. So if you've got people that are interested, or they want to donate their time and they have a kid that maybe, or kids have friends that are interested, we'll help. We want to be able to put these kids up in the plane and or help them get their flights, their flight time as much as possible. And as long as we've got the funds to do it, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of the idea, is to be able to get the word out across the country. There are so many opportunities that, and there's a small scholarship, but it's something.
Yeah.
If you're able to reach out and affect more and more people, the cause gets bigger and the payoff gets bigger for everybody.
Right.
That right there is what is so fantastic.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right?
Right. How do the kids find out about the organization?
A lot of it right now is word of mouth, because there's a lot of young people that don't. We do a lot on social media. So a lot of the parents are the ones that are, hey, you need to go do this. Or if you're interested, we're going to send you this way. So we rely a lot on word of mouth, mainly because as a small organization, we don't spend a lot of money sending out mailers that get thrown in the trash, or radio spots that may not get listened to. So doing podcasts, things like this are really important to us, and keeping our fees low so those kids get the maximum amount that we have to offer and maximum exposure. So we're learning, we're trying to eventually getting out to high schools. So right now we're just sending mass emails and hoping somebody opens them.
I understand that. I also have a lot of airline pilots that listen to this that are getting new contracts, that are probably getting paid into a new tax bracket, and probably need to consider the opportunity of donating to charity, right? And so are you also looking for people to help donate some funds?
All the time. You can donate anytime via our website, or specifically during one of our fundraisers. We've also entertained sponsors that have like, hey, we're going to give you this, but we want you to sponsor this many kids with it. So we're open to anybody wanting to help our cause, and we'll take your money.
Yeah.
Gladly. And like I said, our goal is to support as many kids as we can. We're not in a position to turn away anybody. I don't want to have to turn away a kid, because these kids are so impressive, and they're more put together at 16 than I ever was. And they're incredible. And you read their stories, and I channel my brother, because these are the kids that he would seek out and go specifically spend his time. He'd be late to a briefing because he saw a kid on a flight line and he had to go talk to him because he lit up when they flew by. And that's the impact that we want to have. We want to be a part of this very, very special thing.
Yeah.
So however we can do that.
Man, I don't know how you talk about it all.
Sorry, I got a little emotional.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know how you talk about it and not cry every time, because I get emotional about it.
I've spent a lot of years. I run the organization, so I touch his bio all the time. And trust me, there are a lot of tears. This is a very bittersweet thing that we have taken on. And we're coming up on his, dang it, you got me.
I know. I got me too.
We're coming up on his anniversary. And there's a lot for us right now, because he was, for the better part of his adult life, deployed overseas. Korea, Japan, bouncing all over the country. He landed the F-35 gig in, I think, 2015. And so he came to Florida. We were super excited because my sister at the time was living in Mississippi. I'm here in California. My mom and dad are in California. And we all got to be in the same country for once. So having him back stateside was a really big deal. We were really excited, spent a lot of time flying back and forth to Florida to see him. And then he got selected for the Thunderbirds, which meant he was coming to the West Coast. So I specifically was going to get to see him more. And we're a year and a half apart. So we were very close. We had a lot of the same friends growing up. We went to school together. We did a lot together. He was kind of the adventure buddy, your bar buddy, like all the things. So this time of year is really hard because there was so much hype about him being, he's a badass. Like, we were all really proud of him and really excited for him to be on this platform and to make a big difference and to go watch him fly. And he died 2 days before we were supposed to go watch him perform at March Air Force Base in Riverside. And that was crushing. We spent a lot of time just kind of in denial that it was even like, we never worried about him dying while flying. Like, I would have been more worried about him crashing his Ducati than having something happen in an airplane, because it was just him and flying were one. They were one and the same. And it was really tough it still is very tough for our family. But we had his teammates and the alumni and the people in our life and even across the country, just the way they kind of absorbed our family and wrapped us up. And so much of the first 2 years of him being gone is so fuzzy. Like, I couldn't tell you happened at his funeral because it just is it moves so fast. And because the military was involved and his teammates were involved and we wanted that piece as a part of his final goodbye, it kind of just, I don't know, you just feel like you're in a cloud. So we wanted to make sure that we had something positive to keep us going. Because in this country, when you're grieving somebody, you got 24 hours, you got 3 days, and then you got to go back to life. And we weren't ready to just put that away and that be it. So this foundation has given us the ability to properly mourn him and also honor him.
I love that. That's so awesome. Yeah, this is the first interview.
Damn it, you got me.
I know. This is the first interview I've done where I've just been crying the whole time. I'll tell you, I love it. I have lost a lot of dear friends in my 20 years flying in the Navy, and it is never easy, and it's always the saddest. And you never get a chance to fully mourn. And I'm so glad that you and your family have started this charity to keep him close to your mind and close to your thoughts all the way, every day, every night. And it's an awesome thing to not be forgotten. That is so cool.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you, one of the coolest parts of my job, I get to call all the kids or email them or talk to their parents. And I can't explain it, because you're in this aviation world. There is a certain aura and a certain excitement. It's like a kid in a candy store, right? And I get to call and talk to these people, and it is like igniting his excitement all over again. And it is the coolest thing because they're running around screaming, "Mom, I got a scholarship." Like, it's super awesome to be a part of that. And that piece makes all of the hard stuff worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, you said he's more likely to get hit in his Ducati. Like, I'm also a Ducati guy, and
oh no.
I know, my poor wife. But that's just our life. And
oh yeah,
that is just it. It's beautiful. It's exciting. So
yeah,
I'll say in closing, first off, if you know somebody that's interested in aviation, go to the show notes and just click the link. It'll be in there for Cajun's Aviation Dream. If you are a CFI or you own a plane or you own a gas company and you can put gas in planes or whatever, and you can help out, hit the button, give them a call. If you are a pilot who is flying professionally, go donate something. I'm going to go donate something right after I get off the phone. And I challenge you to go do that because it's important. So, Jeannette, thank you for spending your time.
Yes.
Thank you for keeping the flame lit. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm really, really glad that we have this conversation. And I'm really glad that you are who you are. So thank you for what you are and who you are.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity and for taking an interest in Cajun's story and helping us spread the word. We are so grateful, and we'll promise to do and affect as many young people as we can while we can.
Let's do it. I love it. You're the best. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Hey, before you jump out of here and go on to the next podcast, can I ask a big favor? Would you mind going over to your app that you're listening to this podcast on and give me a review? Give me a 5-star review if you love it. Give me a 1-star review if it totally sucks. Put a comment in there, something that is helpful. It helps me. It helps get the word out there. It helps people find the podcast, and that's super cool. If you don't do that, maybe you could just share the podcast with a friend. Tell a buddy who's trying to figure it out, trying to sort out this pilot dream of theirs and get a little bit further. That is super awesome as well. Last, if you don't do either of those two things, how about this? Find a way today to make yourself 1% better. Do that thing that you've been putting off. Put your foot forward, make movement, get yourself going, get that inertia that you need to succeed in this industry. So that's your choice. Leave a review, tell a friend, or make yourself better. Either way, it's all a good choice. And I'm super stoked you're listening, and I will see you on the next episode. The statements made on this show are my own opinions and do not reflect, nor are they under any direction from my employer.